Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com. Kevin Barnett, Jim Holley back for round 2. Now it's Phoenix and Chase Field. Jim, a lot warmer than it was last week here, but we know that the racing is going to be good. What about Ken Roczen coming out, winning his first race? Does he carry that momentum into week 2?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you're Kenny Roczen, you look at that win that you had last week, and now your confidence is high. You know you can do it. I mean, you know, he wasn't the fastest out there, but he was the most consistent. He made the less mistakes, and he just came away with a win, and we'll see what happens. One
of the more interesting reactions to last week, I thought, was Chad Reed. He finishes 3rd, but he's not happy about it. I think it was because Chad Reed, if you told him at the beginning of the week, okay, you're going to finish 3rd, he'd probably be pretty happy. But that night, he felt like he could have gotten the win.
Well, you got to remember, though, that, you know, he had a little bit of help. That 3rd, you know, possibly could have been a 4th if Stewart stays up and Villapoto stays up. Then that becomes a 5th, 6th, you know. But nevertheless, I mean, it's a great win, or not a win, a great podium for Chad Reed, you know. But I found it interesting. The last 7 winners here have been James Stewart. He's got 4 of them, and he's got 3 in a row. Yep. And then you got Dungey with a couple, and Barcia winning here last year. Chad Reed's never won here, and Villapoto's never won here either. So that's some interesting statistics.
Yeah, you mentioned Justin Barcia, and I felt like last week sort of an underrated ride. You didn't pay a lot of attention to him because of the stuff that was happening right up front, but Justin Barcia had a good week 1.
He did. I mean, if you look at that heat race with him and Stewart, you know, he was patient. He followed Stewart around. He made the pass, and he kind of checked out. But in that main, you know, the starts are critical. You hear all the guys talk about, man, I got to get a good start. I got to get a good start. But you know, Stewart didn't have a good start, and he was back there buried with Barcia, but Stewart went through the traffic a lot faster than Barcia, and Barcia, you know, hey, that's the first one, a 5th, you know, I'm sure he's happy with it. He's got to be even happier knowing he won here last year, so he's got some momentum coming in.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Ryan Dungey, who finished 2nd, and last year found Ryan Dungey flying off the side of a triple here and barely salvaging an evening. A guy who had to salvage last year here in Phoenix, actually who didn't come through and salvage it, was Jason Anderson, who if I recall correctly, went down while leading the LCQ in the last lap. Now he's coming off a victory last week. Huge momentum for him, but this is also a stacked field. Cole Seeley was right at the edge of the win.
Well, something I also find interesting in that 250 class, the only rider who has won here in Phoenix is Dean Wilson. That's it. I mean, I don't see Seeley's name there. I don't see Anderson. I don't see Osborne. I don't see any of these guys. But you know, if you're Dean Wilson, you got to look at this race and you got to go, man, I gotta go. I mean, I got a 4th, and you know, barring, you know, he had some road rash and some injuries, and questionable if he was going to start Anaheim last weekend. But you know, Cole Seeley, he's in a great spot. I mean, you know, he was really upset. You know, when I talked to him after, he said the lappers, you know, I kind of let my guard down. I thought I had a big enough lead, but you know, when you got a guy like Anderson, he's hungry. He wants to win this championship, and I picked him as a contender to win the championship, and I also picked him last week to win the opener.
All right, Hill, Durham, Stewart, a lot of guys in that 250 class who have some potential. Of course, injuries always an issue. Most of the guys making it through unscathed through week 1, but Jake Weimer a little banged up. Eli Tomac so banged up he did not run the main or run the last couple of races on the first weekend, but you have some updated info.
Yeah, I went by and talked to his mechanic, a graduate of MMI, a sponsor of our show, Supercross Live, but he said, you know what? He rested all week, hasn't thrown a leg over the motorcycle. We'll see how he does in that first free practice. If he feels good, he'll continue on. If he doesn't, he'll hang it up and he'll try again at Anaheim next week.
Hopefully Eli Tomac back in the mix. Remember, we have Supercross Live coming up. That's 2 to 5 p.m. local time. That's mountain time these days here in Arizona. And we'll have all kinds of great coverage, 2 rounds of qualifying practice, as well as all kinds of interviews and information. Myself and Jim Holley looking for a good day here in Phoenix.